What slow, cultural shift, fashion, food, technology, is happening right now that most people aren't paying attention to but will define the next decade? The loss of basic computer skills occurs as people transition to doing almost everything on their phones. I had to show a young Gen Z new hire at my job how to double-click on a mouse the other day. I feel stuck in this weird place where the people older than me constantly ask me how to use a computer and the people younger than me don't actually ask, but rather just sit there dumbfounded. This is a weird one, but when I was a medical student a few years ago, early 30s, I was shadowing a full-grown radiologist physician in her 40s who had so much trouble with knowing when to single-click or double-click in Windows. It was so weird because it is a specialty where they're using a computer 100% of the time. It's the sits there dumbfounded part that kills me. They're absolutely allergic to curiosity. They don't try options, they don't ask questions, they don't reach out for resources, they just freeze like rabbits in headlights waiting for someone to help. And will wait all hour/day/week/month/year until that help arrives. As a Gen X, it confuses the hell out of me. I'm a teacher and this is true. It's fucking bizarre. Since the dawn of time, humans have wondered why and sought solutions. Now they just fucking sit and wait in silence. My nephew is a high school teacher. He theorizes a few things. YouTube gives you step-by-step directions for everything. Kids are rapidly losing critical thinking skills. Kids are conditioned to be afraid of being embarrassed since their entire lives are on blast online all the time. So they don't want to make a mistake. That's interesting because I grew up partially in Korea, and culturally people are afraid to make a mistake there because high shame society. Sad that social media is doing that to kids that are from societies that traditionally encourage to try and fail. Decrease in societal community/belonging. Lots of people feel alone and think they're alone in this feeling. The rural and urban divide is going to grow wider over the next 4 years. Lack of third spaces, every service moving online or behind a computer, self-service at shops, WFH, driving everywhere. All these make us lose connection with the community and society around us. WFH is great, but sometimes I miss the water cooler conversions. Not enough to spend 2+ hours in traffic, pack not cook lunch, not be able to do house odd jobs and not wear pants good. But still was somewhat nice if your office had good people. 2+ hours in traffic is where you went wrong, although maybe not your fault directly. US town design is insane to me as a European. How far do you get in that time? I assume an hour each way. When I go in, my commute is 35 minutes and my office is 30 miles away. Socks with sandals. Finally, something truly cultural, shifting.
Hi guys, if you like my video, please just subscribe, drop a like and tap the bell, so you won't miss the next video. I'm already working on a new one for you, so see you.
I've noticed that there is a growing counterculture to always being online, and I predict it is going to get much bigger in the coming years. First encountered this when I had dinner at a colleague's and his 2 teenagers didn't have their phone at the table, which pleased me, so I made a comment. Turns out they don't have mobile phones anymore. The younger one convinced the older that life was more fun without constantly worrying whether X had said Y on Z. Very tempted to join them. They are onto something. I would be happy going back to 2012 era of social media where I used it just to find new music and what events were happening. Then I would go to the event listening to the new music on my iPod. Facebook in 2012 was great, a single pane of glass where you could see what your friends and peers were up to and engage in community groups. Then at some point the feed took over. Now if I ever log into FB, all I see is a wall of shit I don't care about. Admittedly, part of that is no one uses FB anymore, so I suppose there's just less stuff my friends are posting that I care about. The death of privacy is happening very quietly. It's not just one thing/technology either. Your Wi-Fi router can be used as a kind of echolocation to track you in your house. Your mouse can be used to listen to you. License plate readers are being deployed everywhere and they can be used by anyone willing to pay for the service, not just the government/law enforcement. Facial recognition is everywhere. Your phone has a lot of ways to give your location. The public is choosing comfort and convenience over privacy. There are ways to fight back, but individuals aren't fighting back because they're either blissfully unaware or unbothered, since there aren't any visible negative consequences. If you're reading this right now, odds are good that you don't have as much privacy as you think you do. Civil in-person disagreement and discourse. None of the young people in my CS program have soft skills and are going to be unemployable after they graduate. They're loud, arrogant, and their opinions come flying freely. They bounce their shitty attitude off each other and believe they're going to all have jobs. Maybe one guy will, he isn't an asshole like the rest. As a retail worker, I encourage parents to let their children ready for some work have jobs in retail. They're always needed. More often than not there's retail places that can teach you some practical skills. I'm a bicycle mechanic for example, but overall it will force you to be friendly to strangers, phone etiquette, be nice to coworkers and all sorts of skills you'll need in your daily human-to-human interactions. Not saying people should spend their entire life in retail, but doing that for a day, or two, for about a year or two will help you develop skills you'll use the rest of your life. You're going to shop at shops, eat at restaurants, stay in hotels and sometimes things won't go as planned. You won't be blatantly screaming at workers when you've been one of those workers yourself and had someone scream at you irrationally over mundane things. Besides, it can be pretty hard work for pretty shit pay. It'll make you value money enough to know what it's worth and how much you need to work to save up for something yourself, and possibly motivate you to get your degree for a better paying job. No more malls. I enjoy online shopping as much as the next person, but I really miss just walking around a full well-off mall. In Australia they're very popular. We have major malls or what we call shopping centers, and the big ones are absolutely packed every day of the week. Forget about shopping around holidays like Christmas because you can't get a park, and if you do it's shoulder to shoulder everywhere and it's just overwhelming. Still have the food courts, some have cinemas, every shop/item/service you can think of and the teenagers hanging out on school holidays. Malls were the shit. Sad to see them fade away. It's funny, here in Europe you'll hear a lot of people say they hate malls. They complain that they're sterile castles of consumerism with no character, but they're somewhat a necessary evil in some places. That said, we haven't seen a collapse in malls like in the US because shopping habits are somewhat different. Town and city centers are the traditional shopping areas, and instead of empty malls, you see some smaller towns with empty shops and or low-rent places like vape shops and charity shops. Wealth consolidation. We are more productive than ever, but where does the economy reflect that? It's not in our paychecks, that's for sure. For example, in 2020, Jeff Bezos closed Q1 at $130 billion. Now, at the end of Q1 in 2025, Elon Musk finished with $437 billion. It quadrupled in 5 years. The economy won't get any better. Us common people stand almost no chance. I have no idea what it takes to change this, but if it keeps compounding, we'll probably see some big changes. And I don't think those changes will be for the better. The death of third places like cafes, small bookstores, and arcades. Everyone's glued to their screens, and soon, all we'll have is work, home, and Amazon. It's actually kinda depressing if you think about it. SMH. Car-centric city designs suck. Really? Cafes and small bookstores are thriving in my city. Existing ones are packed and new ones are opening up. I'm envious because they're all dead where I live. It's not that people don't want third spaces to participate in, so much as it is nobody can afford to go out, like, for any reason. I see cafes as a cheaper way to meet up with friends than at a sit-down restaurant. The biggest cultural shift isn't in tech or fashion, it's political. The US is currently sliding into a nationalist, authoritarian reordering. The re-election of Trump shows that a large part of the country is now comfortable with dismantling democratic norms. We're not watching politics as usual anymore. We're watching the slow transition of a democracy into a regime, and most people are too insulated in their social bubbles to see it happening in real time. It's not only in the US. Right-wing and or nationalistic political movements are gaining traction across the world. I've seen it happen in the 3 countries I've lived in the past decade: Mexico, US, France. Stupidity. Just general stupidity. People are becoming lazy and willfully ignorant in their lack of thinking, reading, writing, and talking. Social media and the internet in general seem to be rotting people's brains, and apparently most people are pretty cool with it. I know this just sounds like old man yelling at cloud type stuff, but, yeah. People are getting dumber. Aggressively. And I don't feel like it's going to lead anywhere good. We're already collectively dumb enough as a species as it is, kinda scary to think that it might be getting a lot worse in the future. The more people use AI to do their thinking for them and writing their shit, and combined with the more they read AI-generated slop, the more they'll start talking like an AI prompt. Suffice to say, I hate tech people so much. Decline in education/literacy. The copium I see constantly from people trying to excuse laziness and or ignorance for the sake of someone's feelings in the short term are going to do long-term harm for society at large. Extremely poor grammar and spelling for basic words. And no, I'm not talking about a couple mistakes here or there. But if you dare to point it out, people always say, "This isn't English class, are you a teacher?" Language evolves. Yet there are always stories from teachers about how their young students are super below grade level for English and or reading. That one article about how 20% of Americans are functionally illiterate. And I'm sick of people using the COVID lockdown excuse. It was for barely 2 years and even then kids still had school online. Workbooks exist. Daycare isn't that big of a milestone to miss, it shouldn't affect their education this far down the line. Too many parents expect schools to do everything for them, and when their children fall behind or have problems they whine and complain and blame the schools for something that they need to be doing. Teachers can't do everything for you. Education needs to be reinforced at home, not just the 45 minutes that they're in class 5 days a week. I find it hard to believe that you can't find like 30 minutes to just sit down with your kid and read with them or something. It's the same thing with tablets and phones. Why is it that we see articles about how they're affecting our attention spans and we can make memes about it and whatever, but when anyone dares to try and bring up the harm that sitting a toddler down in front of a TV/tablet/phone/whatever is going to have on their still developing brains, then people start jumping down your throat and go into denial. Last one is teens and AI. The brain is an organ, and just like any other organ it can become damaged and atrophy if you don't use it. I see so many stories of them using ChatGPT to bypass assignments, tests, and exams and do their thinking for them, that they're just conditioning themselves into not thinking at all. But schools only care about memorization. They just want more cogs for the corporate machine. Something capitalism bad, so it's okay to not do anything at all. Dude, people have been saying shit like that for decades. Gen Z are not a super special outlier when it comes to how schools function. Like, what is North America, at least, going to look like with even more people who can't read, spell, write, have poor reading comprehension, etc. as adults? I'm going to sound like a boomer here, but I'm so tired of people excusing this so they don't feel bad. Short-term comfort is the danger to long-term development. It's like a parent giving their toddler whatever they want so they don't throw tantrums. Yeah, it'll work now for the moment, but if you don't follow up with anything else, that child will grow up spoiled with poor emotional regularity.